Welcome everyone to the African American Museum and Library. I'm Peter Silva, the Museum Project Coordinator, and this is a very special occasion. We had a wonderful artist talk this morning with Ms. Sanan. Thank you. You're going to stay for this one too, huh?
Yes, I'm staying for this one too.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for participating. This is a Women's History Month event. I've had an extraordinary March month interviewing different women who come together with their different organizations to support women's rights and the women's movement and so on. So today, I am just totally honored to introduce Sanan, who is from Kansas. She's only been in Oakland for about a month, I believe, and a half. And so it was an honor to present her beautiful artwork presentation earlier today, around 12 noon. And of course, closing it out, not just with Sanan, I'm closing out Women's History Month with Cultivating Gardens founder Claudia Noble Livingston. And we have a lot of hands-on activities that she has that she's going to present to you. But before we get to the hands-on part and the presentation, I want to do what I call up close and personal with Ms. Noble Livingston. And we get to know her, what she does when she's not creating these beautiful blends of teas, number one, or when she's not in the garden. This seems to be her passion. So I think someone asked me, well, is she a teacher, or is she an educator, or just what does she? I said, she is an urban gardener. However, with everything that she has done through her life, we want to talk about what makes her click. How did she get involved with the gardening? Her ancestors, who were her ancestors that started gardening? Why did she pursue it? You know, she has siblings, and I believe one of her other siblings dabs in the garden a little bit. However, Miss Claudia, this is one of her passions. She is also instrumental in helping me to create the Seed Living Library here. It was a vision I had. I don't know, have any of you visited the Seed Living Library here? Yes. Great, great, great. So that was a vision I had, and of course, I'm not a gardener, so I know some things about herbs. However, when I go into any project, I look for an expert, and she is my expert, and so she came in and to help me to create that Seed Living Library. We worked really hard, stayed here late, but you know, the rewards are just spectacular, and now everybody loves the Seed Living Library, and this is one of the wonderful departments that she really enjoys coming. However, the other passion would be her blends of teas. And if you haven't tried them, you need to try them. They are totally amazing. So, with that in mind, I would like to bring Ms. Claudia up to the stage here so we can do our up close and personal with Ms. Claudia. Thank you, thank you. Now, are there any gardeners in the house? Wow. You got quite a few. Okay, great. So, yes, and you're going to learn a lot today, but I'm sure you'll be able to share some things with us as well. So, let's get to the up close and personal. This part she really does hate. But it's okay, because we want to get to know you and what you do when you're not in the garden. We want to know. You talk about your ancestors. How did you get involved with gardening? How old were you when you started gardening?
Okay, I want to start by saying good afternoon, everyone, and I'm so thankful that you all are taking time out of your day to be here for the presentation, that I have worked long hours. I'm laughing because I'm kind of a comedian too. But anyway, I appreciate you all. The question, when did I get started? Well, growing up, my parents had a garden. And as small children, we would be out there in the garden weeding, planting some seeds. We harvested tomatoes. We loved the cherry tomatoes. And my grandfather, was a black farmer from Louisiana. And so when our parents made that, I want to say, plight from the south to the west, they brought with them the skills and the knowledge of growing their own food. And so I was exposed to that as a young child, living in an urban environment. And didn't like it so much then, but when it's in your blood, there are times when you may resist it, but it comes through where you submit to your I want to say, just what's in you. That's all I put it.
Well, also, I didn't really quite so fun, and I know that gardening is one of your passions, especially. But I believe, was it your mother that did the gardening? Because and you know what, I'm sure that's why you're laughing, because you and I had a conversation before, and you told me that it was your mother that really did the gardening. And later on, when I met your mother, you and I were talking to your mother said, point blank, I wasn't the gardener, it was your father who did the gardening. Is that correct? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that conversation.
All these years, I didn't know that.
I didn't realize that, okay? That's how I want to put it. Because my mother did do some gardening, but my father, when I said it, my mom said, I was too busy working. I couldn't be out in the garden too, because my dad, he's a laborer, so in between jobs, we had to eat. He knew what he knew, growing the food, majority of the food, vegetables that we had, and we would share with other cousins. There were a lot of gardeners in my family, neighborhood gardeners, so that's how we sustained ourselves. And I'm laughing because I did in my mind think my mother, and even today's presentation is my mother's garden, because my mother, she may not have always been in the garden at that time, but still she was really connected to her roots with gardening. She loved flowers. My father was more to the food, so that's kind of how my mind. But it was funny because the way she said it wasn't me. So yeah, but I still dedicate today's program to my mother. My mother is very influential in how we live our lives right now. More to herbs and fresh vegetables, things like that.
And in this real time that we're living in, share with us the importance of knowing how to grow your own food and why you should.
One thing alone is the cost. The cost of
Which is going
groceries
up.
is going up
Yeah.
in this economy, and so I started to really look at that most recently and say, you know what, I can grow that in my little garden, a space in a container. So I started growing what I like to eat. And when you look at, for example, I love collard greens. And so when you buy collard greens out of the store, or even at a farmer's market, you may get 5 leaves, 6, 7 leaves at the most. And I started growing collard greens And I have bundles, of collard greens. They're very easy to grow, especially in the Bay Area. We can get away with growing a lot of things that other places maybe the seasonal changes may affect how things grow. But it can be cost effective to grow your own food, and also what you put in your soil, what you put in your body, and it's just a lot of concerns around the recall of lettuce, and it's just so many things that are happening now. But when you take control of your own food system and making connections with others who believe in the same concept of growing your own food, that just not only creates community, but it also gives you a sense of having control of how you, what you put in your body, just put it that way.
Why is it that, I did my own test. Your sister, which, Janet, she also has a family garden. And she came here and brought some seeds from my seedling library and collards. And she showed me the pictures. They're going all over her backyard. And it's just totally, and that was only four little seeds, right?
Yeah.
She bought me some collards, and I took them home and cooked them. They were delicious, sweet. When I bought collards from the store and cooked them, they weren't sweet. What do you think? Why is that? Is it because of the soil?
It could be the variety. There are different, hundreds of different types of collard greens. I had the fortunate opportunity of tasting a couple of different kinds of collard greens. When I went to the farmer's market, the actual farmer was there and he had a variety. And there's one that was called a greasy collard. Have you all heard of that? It's shiny and it was kind of bitter. The one that we grow on our family farm and when I grow my personal property is that, the ATES collards. And they kind of bush out, and collard greens, they get sweeter in the winter, the coldness for the collard greens. And I don't know, it could be the variety, it could be how they're processed or where they're grown. But like I said, when you grow your own, you know where they come from. And I believe we have some of the best seeds in our seedling library downstairs. I know I brought some from my garden a couple of years ago. And when this batch goes to seed, I'll be bringing some more of those seeds here. And it's acclimated to the gardens here in the Bay Area. So, if you have opportunity, you want to try some seeds, if there aren't any there now, I'd say by September there should be some new seeds coming in, I know from my garden. So it just depends on the variety, but I have, wow. I say to myself sometimes, I need to have a farmer's market in front of my house. Because it's a lot. And I did bring a couple of leaves today to show you what they look like. But there's nothing like homegrown. If you can get it, it's just nothing like it. And the satisfaction, the joy of gardening, it's just, I can't explain it, but it's very therapeutic being in the garden. So, and to know that you started the garden from seed, and looking at the seeds as it begins to become seedlings and they grow, mature, you harvest, and to know that full cycle, something you created with your hands, there's nothing like it to me.
I've been asked this question, and even though I designed the seedling library, as you know, everybody else that knows me, I'm not really a gardener, I'm learning as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this question's always asked me, and it's hard for me to answer this, so I'm gonna ask you, because I know you know. How many variety of seeds do I have in the LOC? Let me write that. Approximately how many different varieties?
Oh my goodness, I cannot even answer because, we haven't done it this year, but the past few years, we got seed donations from the seed bank in Petaluma, and they would give us, I don't know how many, at least 500 packs of seeds, different varieties. I mean, tomatoes, there are some things that I haven't ever grown before. And to know that it's more to, I'm gonna just say, it's more to life than what you see in the grocery store. And then when you start from seed, you have more choices. And just that discovery alone can blow your mind. It's like, wow, you know. So I really can't say how many because we've gotten seeds.
And I, you know what, it's really something for people to ask me that. That's, out of all the questions that they ask, that is one of the main questions I've always.
How many different varieties?
How many varieties of seeds do you have in your seedling library? Well, I don't really know, but I know I have a lot. And that's the way I answered. I said, well, maybe I'll ask you. So I thought I'd take this time in front of everybody to ask you that, so you can help me out.
I don't know the answer to that because we accept whatever donations we can get that are from a reputable seed company. We look for organic and non-GMO seeds that we offer to our community. So, yeah.
Sounds good.
You know, and especially, I love herbs, medicinal herbs. And we get them from Plant Good Seed Company, which has donated in the past. And we accept what they give us, yeah, so.
Last question. Today's presentation and subject matter, what inspired you to pick this particular subject matter?
Well, I thought about my mother's garden. And I thought about the fact that I am a mother. I thought about the fact that there may be other mothers and grandkids and children, you know, that whole thing, that may be able to tap into that concept of the fact that you're nurturing the garden, and with the garden you start from seed, so the thought in that is that you have faith that that seed's gonna grow, you have hope, and you're doing all you can to make sure that that garden survives. You're doing the same thing for yourself and for your children. And then there's a promise there that the future will continue through the garden. So all those lessons to me are what I learned from gardening and having patience. And so that whole thought of the seasons, one thing we know for sure is that seasons do change. And this mask is getting on my nerves. I'm trying to adjust this. Still not, anyway. But the seasons change, and we change with the seasons. And to be able to grow your own and eat in the seasons is something, it's an honor to be able to do that. It's a privilege, to be honest. And so I just started reflecting on what's happening in this world right now. So much uncertainty. But one place that I find my serenity is in the garden. And knowing that things constantly change in the garden and I adapt. And I know that just like the collard greens, they're drought tolerant, they survive, you neglect them, put some water and they'll bounce back, they'll come back strong. And the deep roots of collard greens and the minerals and roots are in that are there to sustain us. And so that's in us to be strong people. I started just going, that's where it took me, knowing that I have control over what I can put in my body and to just to impart that to others, to let you know that if I can do it, you can too. I don't know.
So what we're gonna do is, while you get set up, we have, Buddy does have a presentation that we're gonna show over here. Once the presentation is completed, we are going to move to the West Wing Gallery, where she has a beautiful display, and we're gonna do some hands-on, and I'm sure you're gonna enjoy it. I know I am. I'm gonna be taking some notes. That's what I am. Thank you so much. You're on my hand for this program. Yes, some collard greens, yes. But you know what, and I'm truly, no, that experiment was really, it did a number on me, because they were so sweet. So, once you get set up, I'll tell you a little bit about the institution here. We are a research institution for African American history and culture. I'm Vita Silva, as I mentioned early on, and the programming here, I'm a museum project coordinator, so my specialty is exhibitions and programming. I came here in 2002, we opened in 2002 of February. I came here 2002 of October. So 21 years we've been here at this building. It is a Carnegie building, and Andrew Carnegie, for $50,000, in 1902 it was built. So $50,000 during that time was a lot of money when you think about it in 1902. However, after the earthquake in 1989, it suffered a lot of damages here. Pretty much they said they were going to tear this building down, but a group of scholars got together and community people said, no, it's a Carnegie building. So it was refurbished by an African American architect right here in Oakland, California. And as I mentioned, $50,000 Andrew Carnegie donated to the city of Oakland to build this institution. However, to restore it, and we restored it to about $11.5 million. And then it became the African American Museum and Library. So we celebrated 21 years this past October. We're grateful to be here and to bring you programming such as we're doing today, artists and expertise in gardening and a lot of other subjects that I'm sure that you will enjoy. So now, if we can, I'll move the chairs off the stage, and we're pretty much, are we set up, Marco? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready for the recording part?
Oh, I'm already recording.
Okay, the lights on the staircase. Oh, thank you.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Great. And I just wanted to say that when Vita was speaking, I just thought, Anne, is that your name? She said she last came here when the museum was under renovations, and she's back today. So I said, oh, Anne, right there.
Oh, yes. It's been a while. Welcome back.
This transformation and all the exhibits that are here and the programming that we offer is just really exceptional. I'm really happy to be a part of what's happening today here at AMLO. So today I'll be talking about my mother's garden, planting seeds of faith, hope, and a promise for the future. The objectives will be, well, I like to do introductions, and we'll be speaking about the feelings of spring in the garden, gardening from seeds, starter plants, and cuttings. What to plant now, springtime, and how to use your garden. herbal garden for healing and self-care. Any questions and answers? It may change up the flow, the formatting, but you'll have the opportunity to make and take. You'll be able to, if you haven't already, plant in a small container some seeds of choice. And I'll show you how to propagate a few things, and any other questions you might have over there on the other side. So, this year's slide is a reflection. I always like to bring in my family heritage. And this is a reflection of the past. We had a family reunion, and this was on the program. The family reunion was in Bastrop, Louisiana, and this is a photo of a tractor on a farm, 1942. And one thing that my grandfather would always say, when we take care of the land will take care of us. And we still have the 20 acres of land in Bastrop, Louisiana. My father would often talk about the kind of crops that they would grow. And they had chickens, and the crops they would grow, of course, they had collard greens. They would do a lot of soybeans, which he said that they would feed to the hogs. And just reflecting on the fact that he loved the land and bought all those things that he learned as a child and a teenager here to California. And we didn't quite understand, well, at least I didn't quite understand some of the things he was doing in the garden, like burying fish in the ground, but that was fertilizer for the garden. And it's important that you feed the soil so that the soil will feed you. So that's what it is by taking care of the land. These two images, do anyone know who the person is on the left? Can you recognize?
Peter Buck. Is that him? The guy that, I know who it is. I just can't think of his name.
You know what's coming to you, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll find out who this is. And I know you don't know the person on the right, so I won't even ask you. Next. Is that who you thought?
George Washington Carver.
Yes, Dr. George Washington Carver. He was a plant doctor, botanist, inventor, farmer, and just recently, today I learned that there was an exhibit at the California African American Museum on Dr. George Washington Carver. One of our patrons here today got a chance to visit it. She shared it with me, so thank you for that. Next. That's my dad, my father. Son of a black farmer, proud black man, husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather too. And he taught me a lot of what I know. He passed on in 2015. So I like to honor my ancestors whenever I do a presentation, because without them I would not be. Thank you. Also, in honoring our ancestors, this is how I cook. I love to cook too. I didn't mention that to Vita. I love to play around in the kitchen, let's put it that way. And I don't measure. I found this here and I said, oh, this is me. I don't measure a thing. When I cook, I just sprinkle and add stuff until I hear the spirit of my ancestors whisper. That's enough, child. Okay? On the right is my maternal grandmother, Hattie. She was a chef and a homemaker. She's on the left in that image. I think that was in Chicago, I'm not certain. But I went through my mother's album and found some pictures that I would like to always remember her. She lived with us when we were younger. So, in my garden, I just want to share with you some of the springtime herbs that I like to grow. How many have experienced the touch of nettles? I said the touch. The sting of nettles. Nettles, you'll get a chance to experience that today. I bought some nettles. lavender, I love the smell of lavender, it's so calming for me. I'm a person who learns by using my hands, my nose, the senses, which creates memory for me. And I remember the emotion of that. And so that kind of guides me as far as what plants I grow in my garden. Bee balm is another plant. It's also known as wild bergamot. And that, wow, I'll tell you more about that later, bee balm. I have a relationship with my plants. Lemon verbena. My, I love the smell of lemon. Some of you had the opportunity of attending the workshop I did about the scent of lemons. And that's my affinity for lemon scents. I just trying to find anything that's lemony, lemon thyme, lemon balm, lemon, you could just, and the thought of the fact that the lemon scent is in other plants besides a lemon was fascinating to me. And to share that with children. They're like, what? A lemon is a lemon. Well, you can find that aroma in other plants. Sage, culinary sage, white sage, poppies. You see poppies all around. Now's the time, springtime for poppies. Poppies were in the Wizard of Oz when they went to sleep, right? Yeah. Dandelion. My mom loves dandelion. I can't get past the fact that they're weeds. But weeds are nutritional for you. She's like, it's just a city thing. But you drink the tea to detox, right? Oregano. Okay. Anyway, I have a most recent experience with oregano because I was sick, very congested. Oregano opened up the sinuses, the bronchial cavity. It helped me to get some relief. Calendula is a yellow flower, very bright. It says, hi, I'm here, it's summertime. I bought calendula to share with you too. Lemon balm, I mentioned. Ashwagandha, I'm gonna speed it up because I kind of get into I sink into it and forget the time because I get deep with it when I start to think, but I'm not trying to do that today. I don't want to do that today. By time, that's the only time. Bay leaf, echinacea, rosemary, parsley, and thyme. A variety of thyme. I love these plants to grow this time of the year. Next slide. Speed it up. This is the one I mentioned earlier, bee balm. My grandmother talked about bee balm. She was highlighted in the book, if you all know the book, Working the Roots. It's a book by Michelle E. Lee. A wonderful book. She interviewed, I don't know how many elders across the nation about the African American traditions, what plants we use for healing, for religious reasons or health reasons. Very extensive research that she did. My grandmother was interviewed for that, and I was like, my grandmother speaking about the plant, and she mentioned that she liked to use and grew wild. It was wild in the country in Louisiana. Bee balm is native to America, and its common names are bee balm, wild bergamot, horse mint, or oswego tea. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And it's in the mint family. Some of you might know. Do you remember? What was it called? It was a hair treatment, and it was it's bergamot. Trying to think of the name of it now. I should have wrote it down. But this was used in that oil treatment. my grandmother would talk about using this plant to condition her hair. And it's something that you can make a tea out of, like I said, when you have a cold or a flu. Drinking that, or even just having it, I had it as a diffuser. I used the essential oil of the wild bergamot. And I'm still trying to think of the name of that hair treatment. It wasn't sulfur 8, if you know about hairs, that one was not, did not smell good. I'll get the name. And you can use the leaves and the flowers of this plant. It can be used as a garnish. You can put it in a sachet and in a potpourri. You'll get a chance to touch it and smell it and taste if you like. And you'll understand why it's kind of cooling, as mint often is. And you can use it to infuse your honey. These are just some ideas. It's not exclusive, you know. There's many more uses for it. But honey, vinegar, syrup, and Native Americans and African Americans use in traditional healing. And you can use the bee foliage as an antiseptic, and as I mentioned before, as a tea. The benefits are that it helps to reduce fevers. It can soothe your cough, just like when you have mint tea, you add honey to it. How good that feels, same kind of benefits from the bee balm. I'm just gonna move forward. And it's a flowering plant. It's in the mint family, as I mentioned. And it grows well in moist, well-drained soil. So it's something that I have currently in a pot. As you can see the image, that's what I took this picture the other day, of the one over right there. I put it in a pot because I didn't want it to spread all over. You know how mint does? Mint can just spread everywhere because it has rhizomes underneath the ground that spread. This is similar, not as invasive, but still, I did not want it to grow all over the place. And so I kind of use my garden as an experimental garden. And then when it's flowering, that's the one I have, the purplish, pinkish color. They come more pink and purple too, but this is the one that's in my garden. So very pretty and very fragrant. Next slide. Echinacea is, I know you know about echinacea, you'll find it in your supplements, your teas. It's a plant that is an adaptogen herb, and it's a good plant to grow in your garden, very pretty. Purple cone is what it's also called, and it's a plant that can help calm the stress that you may feel. Have any of you tried echinacea, the tea, or, yeah. And all parts of the plant can be used, and you can make a decoction, a tincture, and the roots is what's most commonly used. But once you dig up the root, the plant is gone. So you decide how much you're going to dig up to dry and use. But once again, you can use the other parts of the plant too. And it can be propagated from seed. It's very drought tolerant. It's very forgiving, because sometimes I forget to water too. But very pretty. Not only is it pretty, but it's also beneficial. It attracts pollinators in the garden. And yeah, it's just something that I like to have around, echinacea. Ashwagandha is a plant that is also a adaptogen herb. And I broke off a piece this morning to bring to show you what it actually looks like. And it's also commonly known as winter cherry. Indian ginseng is in a nightshade family. And I have been drinking ashwagandha and tulsi. You know about tulsi or holy basil? Holy basil? Anybody? Okay. That's a adaptogen herb also. And that combination, when I drink that at night, I have pleasant dreams, just calm. And I can feel rested when I wake up in the morning. I must, right at this moment, I thought, a disclaimer, please check with your physician or doctor and make sure that it doesn't interact with any medication you may be taking if you should try any of these herbs. But I'm more speaking from the point of growing these things in your garden. But for me, I find benefits of it. Like I said, all of our bodies are different and you may react differently, but for me, this is very calming. Especially after not just a busy day of being physically busy, but a busy mind. Sometimes our minds are racing. We need to calm down. And you can grow it from seed. The one that I have in my garden right now, I got it as a starter plant. And I believe we have some seeds here. I think I bought some if I have any left to share if you want to grow. But it takes a while before you can actually use the plant if you're going to use it for medicine. About 2.5, 3 years for it actually, yeah. That's okay because you're patient, right? And it's the root where the medicine is, in the root. Some people do eat the red little fruit on the plant. And you could grind it up and make it into powder, as you can see there. Next slide, not reading everything on the slide. Culinary sage in the garden. Sage from the Mediterranean region. It's known as common sage, garden sage, culinary sage, all these different names. It's in the mint family too. Did you know that? The sage is in the mint family? It just came to me. Did I know that? So we use the culinary sage when we cook most times during the holiday time. I hear people say that's when I use my sage, but sage is more than that. Sage can be used as a mouthwash, because it has a lot of antibacterial properties. It's great for fighting colds and flus, and it has an astringent and antiseptic properties too. I've used it as an oral hygiene, and great for like sore throat too. It grows very easily in the garden. A lot of these herbs that I talk about, or the plants that I'm presenting today, are very easy to grow, low maintenance, drought tolerant. And you can propagate them from cutting and or starter plants. So this was from starter plant. And it has beautiful flowers, as you can see, this particular sage. Another sage that most you will probably hear about is white sage. White sage is being over-harvested, so it's endangered. And so what is recommended that you grow your own white sage in your garden. Grow it yourself and use it from what you grow. Lavender is a plant that is not only beautiful, but the aromatherapy, the aroma from that plant is very calming. And the one that I like is the one that is small, Munstead, Munstead, I think is how you spell it, very compact lavender, because lavender, depending upon the variety of the species, it can be huge. I made a mistake in planting a bunch of lavender in my sister's garden. Too much of a good thing. she had to have it removed because she developed sensitivity to that. It was just causing her eyes to water. It was a lot, but it was beautiful. But it wasn't for her. It makes a lovely tea. It's very calming. You put it in your bath, massage oil. It has antiseptic and antibacterial properties too. great for relaxation, calming, very calming. And make it as a tea, it'll calm an upset stomach and relieves indigestion. It needs sun, it needs lots of sun, so you have to find a well-drained, sunny location in your garden. I do a lot of gardening in containers, so I can move my plants around to the optimal location. And you don't not necessarily have to have a huge space to grow a garden. Containers are my friend when you're trying to experiment with a lot of different plants. So lavender, how many of you ever grown lavender? Okay, what's your experience with lavender?
It never does well. I would kill it.
You think you're overwatering it? Okay, that's the first thing I go to. Overwatering. Yes. Lavender. What was your experience?
My great experience, I grew a summer.
You did
I
well?
did really well. Yeah, I did. I grew that in some foot
Okay, yeah. That's wonderful. That'll make a great tea.
Also, routine also is a great place to meditate.
A great what?
Place to meditate, you know, calming.
Oh, yeah. Place of, yeah. Yes, lavender. Bay leaves. So, it's native to the Mediterranean region. You may know that California laurel, California bay, various names. And I use it in my cooking. I make a lot of beans, so I put it in my beans. I used to do a lot of traveling for my job, and I would interview people in their home, and some of them would have gardens. And one lady told me, if you put bay leaves in your pantry, it'll prevent you from having any of those moths that get into your grains and your. I'm like, what? So I said, okay. So I put some bay in my pantry. She said, I even put it in my flour. I'm like, oh, okay. But I didn't want to do that because I don't want my flour to taste like bay, but that was just me. But the little, remedies that you can get from the garden. So I have a bay that I put in a half wine barrel. First it was in a little small pot, that pot right there. And about a year ago I put it in a half wine barrel. So it's like about 3 times as tall now. And goodness, isn't that a wonderful thing? We just go get some bay when I need it without paying all that money in the store for the day. And you can use it fresh or dried. So I've done both. And it's great for a lot of other reasons too, besides when you're cooking. It's great for aromatherapy, as a decongestant. You can use it as, like I said, insect repellent. And I would think that if you were to put it in a spray bottle, put your bay leaves in there and let it sit there for a while and spray. It might repel something, I don't know, but it's all about experimenting instead of buying the chemicals in the store. And it has a lot of good sources of vitamin A, B6, vitamin C, iron, potassium, calcium, folic acid, and magnesium. And it's been commonly used by both Native Americans and African Americans to treat colds and flus, headaches, migraines, and flatulence. I guess that's why you put it in your beans. Cut down on the gassiness that you might have, upset stomach, and all these other things. It supports the immune system too, and relieves muscle pain. So a lot of the plants that you grow, you can create health and beauty products from it. And that made me just now think about that, to relieve muscle pain. So if we were to use the bay in making your ointments or your salves, because you have like arthritis or muscle pain, or maybe an athlete and want to use something more natural, there are a lot of plants that you can use to relieve the stress on your body. Very easy to grow, but I want to warn you, if you plant this plant in your ground, it can get 40 to 50 feet tall. You want to see one? Go to Mills Cottage. So therefore, what I did, I put it in a half wine barrel, and it's sitting on concrete. So I know that it's not going to break through and go through the soil, or put something under it. The wine barrel has holes in it for the drainage, but I'm watching it very carefully because what had happened what happened is that I planted a pomegranate tree in a half wine barrel in my front garden, sitting on soil. I tried to move it. The roots broke through. It's in permanent position in the ground. I could not get it up. So, just be careful about what you're planting and where you're putting it, if it's not going to be the permanent location. So, I got rewarded though. I had every season beautiful pomegranates, like softball sized pomegranates. So I'm rewarded every year. Just one day we'll have to decide what I'm going to do about that tree. They're really sweet too. Yeah. So let's see what's next. Okay, so I often get asked questions like, when do I plant what, how, when? This is a guide I got from the Plant Good Seed Company, and I'll give you all a copy of it, but I really love this here because it makes it clear for our environment as what grows well when. Green means you're good, yellow caution, and red is like, oh no, this is not the time. So you all will be handed this. It didn't come out too clear on here, but you'll get the copy will show you this kind of line colors here, but actual colors. So you get a chance to look that over, go over it more closely. And what's next? These are my sources. And I use the rosemary glass jar herbal. I think I bought it with me today. I'll have it. Yeah, I did. And Michelle Lee working the roots. And then a Michael Moore medicinal plants of the Pacific West. That's what I use for my references. And I think that's it for the presentation. Any questions?
I got a question.
Yes.
When growing vegetables, do the male, is it important to separate the males and females to, when growing, or it doesn't matter when growing?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding what you're asking me. Say it again.
When growing vegetables, is it important to separate male seeds from female seeds, to stop, growing other plants, you have to separate males and females.
I'm processing what you're
because
saying, because I don't know. Tell me a plant where you can distinguish between the male and the female.
well, the cannabis plant, for example.
What?
The cannabis plant.
Oh, that's a whole different subject.
Okay, well, I was just using it, I was
So,
trying to
for
tie
that-
it back into vegetables, so that's not, it doesn't,
For that plant,
no, with vegetables particularly.
but
You have to
I'm
separate.
gonna leave with what you started with.
Okay,
For that plant, I don't know nothing about.
yes, ma'am,
I've never tried. My son has, he's
Okay.
quite successful.
yes, ma'am,
He had no interest in what I was doing.
I understand,
I just wanted to say that.
yes, ma'am.
Matter of fact, it's a beautiful plant. For vegetables and things, no, there's no.
So they both yield the same, it's like the
Mhm.
males of the plants will yield the same as the females, essentially. Okay.
Yeah. He grew his indoors, his plant. That's all I can say. Any other questions?
I got another question.
Okay.
That's what I came here for, to ask questions.
Oh, cool.
Particularly to you. Another question I have is, I know you said you were gonna give us a calendar, but do you suggest going all the way up to, fall? When growing plants, like, do they stay on a circadian rhythm of spring to fall, or how long do you cultivate your plants for your person?
It depends on the plant that you're growing, because some things need heat,
Yes.
you know, and some are cool season plants. So it's your option in between the two. You may wanna give your space a rest before you transition to a new crop. And there are plants that you can grow in between to nourish your soil. One good book that I would recommend that I have back there, which is in the libraries, is called, Farming While Black. And it has some great information and some, outlines on how to do that in between. I've done some, cover crops, is where you plant certain plants that will put the nutrients back into your soil, and then you harvest them back in, where they'll break down and feed your soil, then you start afresh, planting something else. There are certain plants that are good for that you can incorporate in your garden. Yes. So, for me, the time that I love gardening the most is the fall. Our fall winter here in California is totally different from being in the south. Our time here, when we have our rain is starting to come, the natural rain. And during that time, it allows my new plants to develop a deep root system to withstand those times when we may not have a lot of water. So that's my favorite time, really. You get excited about this time of year, spring, I'm gonna garden, but I don't get excited. But that's just me, because I kind of know what I'm trying to do. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, I'm here to help you, guide you. If I don't know the answer, I'm gonna send you to the source.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You said the book was on.
Oh, yeah, I got it back there. Farming While Black. And, if you're into more, well, I'm laughing to myself, but the book I have is more, like medicinal herbs, but not cannabis. And that's a separate section in itself.
I'm here for the vegetable. I honestly met her a few weeks ago. I was downstairs. She gave me some vegetable seeds, and she told me about this thing today. So I don't know what you think. That's why I'm here.
Oh, no.
No, I'm here for vegetables. Man.
No. I hear you.
You're here for the vegetables.
Yeah, but that's a cool,
I'm being serious about that.
I'm not offended by it at all.
Yeah.
And I even took some classes, but I didn't struggle with that. But, I'm here for it all.
For sure. Understand.
Because plants are here for a reason. Your purpose is your purpose. And, hey, yeah. Yes.
Just talk a little bit more about feeding the soil and about I've been gardening a while, but I never really thought until recently about what that means and types of things. It was my best friend's mother that I watched bury the fish and bury for food. And now everybody talks about get the compost going and give it to the soil. But for example, I have a lemon tree that's been there for as long as I've been where I live. And now it's saying, I need something. Its leaves are yellowy stuff. And so
to back up about the soil, you can do a soil test, kits that you can buy at the store. I also do soil testing for a fee. I send it to the lab if you're into that, more extensive information about your soil. There are certain signs that are showing on your plant that it needs something, like for example, the lemon or or citrus leaves turning yellowish, means it needs some iron. What I did for myself, experimenting, using plants. Nettles has a lot of iron in it. So I planted some nettles with my lime tree to see what benefits it would give my plant. And my plants started to thrive. So, and kind of doing a little more research and finding out what is your plant asking you for? What does it need? There are resources and maybe some apps too that you can look and say, well, the signs of this and what's happening. Another great location to go to that I've used to get information about my plants or unidentified growth in my garden. Like, what is this? Is I go to Berkeley Horticultural Nursery in Berkeley. They're very knowledgeable. What's the place? There's a garden up in the Berkeley Hills. What is it called?
Native here.
I can't get the name of it.
Native here.
Yeah,
Say it again?
Native here nursery.
yes. You said native what? What?
Native here.
Native here.
Native here.
Is it near children?
Yes,
You know, native here.
yes. They had days where the plant doctors, I'm taking my plants there and say, what's happening with my plant? And then, I'm not sure if what Shayna shared with me is an app called Planter. I've been playing around with the app.
Okay.
Yes, and, that app. Tell us about your experience with that app.
So this is a garden I started last year, and I plant and raise planters, and I just knew I wanted to plant a bunch of stuff that I like to eat. And then I learned everything can't be planted next to everything else. So what I like with planter is if you select something, it'll tell you what's combative and will not work, and what's complementary and will help support the plant. And it also lets you lay out a grid so you can get information on how to space your plants and different varieties. So for a new gardener who doesn't know anything, it's just useful to help you start to plant. And there's a free version, and then you can pay a little bit more, I think, for a lifetime of use of it.
I signed up for the free version, so I'm gonna play around with it and see what information it has. Yes, a planter is the app. And I'm sure there are a lot of other apps that you can use, like, I think I've been on my phone, so I'm sure with me where you take a picture of your plant and it'll identify the plant. It's pretty accurate so far. And I can find out what's happening with your plant. But yeah, I do offer soil testing and garden coaching if you're interested. My phone number is there. Want to reach out? I am on Instagram. Posting occasionally post what's happening in the garden. And yeah, we're gonna transition to the other side and get started. I love hands-on. Let's do what I learned. I'll be passing around some plants for you to engage with and consider planting in your garden. And if you haven't gotten the chance to get a cup of tea or some treats, stop on the side over there on the way. We're gonna get started, okay? Thank you. It's called Refresh. It's a blend of peppermint, spearmint, and ginger. Just to let you know. It's a tea that I blended myself. And I do offer tea for sale on Auntie C. I'm Claudia, Auntie C's Teas. So I have a variety of teas that I have blended. I have a hibiscus and ginger, which is a popular one. Refresh and Fortitude. Fortitude is the one with the rose hips, cinnamon, and I forgot the other thing. Right now. vitamin C in the rose hips. Okay, so we're more intimate now. Let me hear something about you. Tell me your name and, you have a little garden?
My name is Nicole, and my boyfriend was supposed to be here, but he had an emergency, so I came along. We are trying to start a garden, or I don't know, just try to play around. We started a little herb garden in the front of our, because we live in an apartment. We're planning more of what we would use, and now, like, I really don't know or don't work a lot with herbs yet, but you know, we're planting some mint at the bottom. I know he wanted some cilantro since that's what we usually go buy, parsley, little things like that. But we're trying to grow more into like planters in the backyard now. But I'm like, whoa, we're not there yet. Yeah, so.
Okay, Nicole, that's how I started.
Yeah.
Growing what I like to eat and what I said I can grow myself. Why am I buying this? So herbs were easy to start with for me, like you were saying, cilantro, thyme, rosemary. Oh my God, rosemary can get really big. But yeah, I make my rosemary chicken, rosemary potatoes. You know, just really incorporate the herbs into what I eat, what I love, what I love making. And
Thank you, I'm Ann. Thank you for being here. I'm really happy to be here. I'm retiring soon, and I'm also aging. And so I'm very interested in learning more about growing more herbs for medicinal use. Some specific ailments that, the doctor wants to prescribe X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, there's something from the earth that can help with this. So really, really grateful to meet you and have this opportunity to do some learning.
thank you for being here too. Yes, same here. I'm retired from the job I had, but I'm not retired because I'm actively here and enjoy sharing what I know as we learn together too. And you?
Hi, I'm Mike.
Mike?
I have a small flower garden, mostly native wildflowers. And I do some planting in public spaces, like unused containers. I'll just put some seeds down. And, yeah, I like native wildflowers because you don't really have to water them as much. They take care of themselves.
Yeah, my neighbor did that to her backyard. I felt like I was out in the country in the meadow. How she just, it was like flowing. I was like, all from seed. I was like, wow, that's beautiful. And sir, your name is?
I'm Mike. Mike.
Mike?
Yeah, Mike. Currently don't have a garden. We got a nice sized yard. Looking to transform that into a garden. But honestly, what really got me into it is learning about my West African culture and my heritage. We were we were growing stuff in Africa, and I want to let that be known also because it's a big misconception about African Americans and where we come from in the South. But it started in Africa. We were growing in Africa.
Yes, same here. I did do a genealogy, not just genealogy, but genetics.
Yes, ma'am.
And found that my people from Kenya, and as a movement took place, Nigeria, Yoruba, coming over. It just took me the trail. I was like, and of the tribe, the clan, or whatever you want to call it from, were, what's the word we use? Agriculturalists,
Yes.
herbalists,
Yes.
medicine people, root work. I'm like, oh, that's
in need, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
wanting more information, you know, that's where I'm at too.
Yeah.
And we did do a presentation here about, it was called, Black Resistance.
Okay.
You know, plants that we grow
Yeah.
that are legacy plants and why and where they originated from and how to grow them yourself in your garden. For example, hibiscus from Africa, you know, black-eyed peas.
Oh.
And to know,
Yeah.
to know that,
Yeah.
right? And not for someone else to tell you differently,
Yeah.
which I encountered that. But I didn't have the knowledge to say, you're wrong.